Hi, welcome again to the Old Principle. We're going to study a little bit of English, a little bit of philosophy, and all of it comes from Lao Xiaozhang. So, today's lesson is number 135, Mommy versus the alligator. Mommy 是母亲对鳄鱼好像比赛啊。So with that, that guy doesn't look like a happy animal. Look at that. He's got teeth. Those are real teeth. That would make a 牙科医生 very happy. Big teeth. Mommy versus the alligator, number 35, 135. And here is our storyteller. Okay, there you go. Mommy versus, you are a mommy?
Oh, yes.
You are. Did you ever have to fight with an alligator?
No, thankfully.
No. Okay, Mommy and the alligator. Here's our story.
6-year-old Johnny asked his mother if he could go swimming in the canal. Be careful, Johnny. Stay close enough so I can see you. If you can see the kitchen window, then you know I can see you. Johnny went out to swim, and Mother worked on the dishes and then on supper. She looked out the window and saw Johnny swimming near the other end of the canal. But then her heart nearly stopped when she saw upstream an alligator swimming toward Johnny. Quickly, she ran out the back door screaming, "Johnny! Johnny! Swim to shore! Alligator!" Johnny began swimming with all his might, and Mommy came running as fast as she could. The alligator began swimming after Johnny, faster, too. Just as Johnny reached shore, the alligator grabbed Johnny's leg and began to pull him toward the center of the stream. Alligators usually roll their victims over and over until they drown. Then they take them down and, quotes, store them in some underwater hole or under some logs. They let them rot to just the texture that alligators like for their food. But Mommy wasn't going to let this alligator kill and eat Johnny. She grabbed his arm and began a tug-of-war, Mommy pulling Johnny to the shore and the alligator trying to pull him into the water. Mommy screamed, hoping someone was nearby to help her. And sure enough, one of her neighbors came to help her pull on Johnny. Another neighbor brought out his rifle and shot that alligator. The doctors stitched up Johnny's leg wounds, but they also stitched up several deep scratches on his arms where Mommy had held on to him. In school, the children wanted to see those scratches on his legs, but Johnny wanted to show them the stitches on his arms.
Okay, so we are ready to roll, and you can take a little rest, but don't run away. Okay. Because we may need a mommy to help us come to a conclusion. Okay, so here we have Mommy versus, that's V-E-R-S-U-S. It just means 对. It usually gives the idea of a contest. A 对 versus B 对. Okay. So anyway, so we've got a contest between a very ugly looking alligator and a mommy. And let's look at the story. 6-year-old Johnny, how old is he? He's 6 years old. He asked his mother if he could go swimming in the canal. Okay, a canal is a 水沟. Now you have big canals and little canals. When my children were little, there was a canal right outside our house. and our children actually played in the canal. But the canal was not very big. It was a little canal, and there are no alligators. No alligators where we lived. Going on. Be careful, Johnny. 小心. Okay. Stay close enough so I can see you. Okay. 要保持这个距离什么？靠近，足够让我能够看你，靠近我的家。Okay, stay close enough. If you can see the kitchen window, 如果你能够看到我们厨房的窗户，那我知道我可以看到你。Then I know I can see you. Going on. Johnny went out to swim, and I imagine because places where alligators are hot places, so swimming in water is very important. So he went out to swim, and Mother, she worked on the dishes. Now, when you work on the dishes, does that mean you're making dishes? To work. The word work has many, many meanings. But in this case, worked on the dishes simply means 洗盘子碗. That's all it means, 洗盘子碗. You could have said, and Mother washed the dishes. You could have said it that way. So the word worked is overworked. Sometimes 用得太多. Okay, worked on the dishes, and then on supper. Okay, now in this case, working on the supper means 做晚餐. So isn't it interesting? You use the same work, but it has a completely different meaning. 根本就不同的意思。一个是洗盘子碗 The other is 做饭晚餐. That's interesting. One word. Isn't English awful? 很难学的. Going on. She looked out the window and saw Johnny swimming. So remember, stay so I can see you. She looked out the window and she saw Johnny swimming on the other side of the canal. 在水沟另外一边. So everything's okay, right? No, wrong. Going on. But then her heart nearly stopped. Okay? When we say your heart nearly stops, it means 怕的好像那个心脏要停顿了，停下来。Her heart 差一点点就停了 nearly stopped when she saw upstream. We have upstream and downstream. Upstream, it means up where the water is coming from. Downstream is where the water is going. So she upstream, where the water is coming, she looked and there was an alligator, 鳄鱼, swimming toward Johnny. Swimming toward Johnny. Go ahead. Quickly, she ran out the door screaming, of course. 很快快地跑到外面去尖叫 screaming, 大声叫 Johnny, swim to the shore, alligator. Swim, quick, go. Going on. Johnny began swimming with all his might. What does it mean to swim with all the 用的最大的力气？最大的力气 ，OK？ 最大力 ，swimming。And mommy, obviously, she's not going to sit there in the house. She came running, 是来跑 as fast as she could. 尽快跑过去。Going on. But unfortunately, the alligator was swimming faster too. 这个鳄鱼，它游得更加快。So what's going to happen? Just as Johnny reached the shore, 刚好他在岸边呢 ，shore 岸边。The alligator grabbed, 就抓 Johnny's leg, Johnny 的腿 and began to pull him toward the center of the stream, of the canal, the stream. Okay, now, keep in mind that the alligator now is pulling Johnny toward the center of the stream. Streams 是河流 or sometimes stream 河流 but in this case it's a canal, but the canal is moving, the water is moving. Okay? 这个水动着 it's moving, the water is moving. So the alligator is now going to pull Johnny out to the center of the canal of the stream. Going on. Alligators usually roll their victims over and over until they drown. So now here's what the alligator is going to do. 鳄鱼平常 roll their victims, 这个受害者 victims over and over. So they 使它翻 OK? 直到他们就淹死 And then going on, they take them down. Then the alligator takes the victim, animal, human, whatever, and takes them down to store. 这个隐藏 to store them in some underwater hole. Okay, like if there's a hole, 这个在这个水底下有一个洞啊 then they put this animal or human being down under there, or under 或在一些原木下面. In other words, what they want to do is they put the victim down there. Why are they doing that? Why don't they want to eat them right away? 不是要马上吃吗? No, not really. Going on. They let them rot. Good word to know. Sometimes we say it's rotten. 腐烂掉. They let them rot until that it's just the right texture. Now, texture is something that you can see, it's something you can feel, 质地. But in this case, texture means 知道这个口感 他们最口感的 So it's just the right things. I didn't know that. 鳄鱼是吃腐烂的东西 the alligators like to eat rotten things. This is awful. But that's the reason why they call them 鳄鱼. It means is very bad. Okay, okay. This is what they like for food. This is the food that they like. Going on. But Mommy wasn't going to let this alligator kill and eat Johnny. Mommy, 母亲 wasn't going to 不愿意让这个鳄鱼杀而这个吃他自己的孩子. So she is not going to let this happen. Of course, she's mothers. Mothers are amazing people. That's right. They love their children, and they will do anything for their children. In fact, we even say, have you heard the saying, a mother's love? A mother's love. In fact, sometimes we even have a saying, something maybe 长得不太漂亮, maybe not so beautiful, and we say she or he has a face that only a mother can love. So you see, mothers love their children. Mommy wasn't going to let this alligator kill and eat Johnny. Going on. She grabbed his arm and began a tug of war. Okay? Okay, do you know what a tug of war is? 拔河. Tug of war. Tug of war. Okay? Okay, Mommy was pulling Johnny to shore. 要把他拉到岸边. And the alligator was trying to pull him into the water. 这个鳄鱼要把它拉到这个水中. Okay? Going on. Mommy screamed. 尖叫. 大声叫. Hoping, 希望 someone was nearby. 有人在附近 nearby 附近能够来帮助他. Mommy screamed, hoping that someone was nearby to help her. Going on. And sure enough, and this is an interesting, because we use this in Chinese all the time. 果然不错. 果然不错. At least my mini Chinese, 小小的中文, I use this all the time. Sure enough, one of her neighbors, 她的邻居一位, 其中一位, came to help her pull on Johnny. Okay, so she came to help. So now you got two ladies pulling on Johnny's arm, and the alligator is on the other side. 真的是一个拔河. Okay, going on. Another 另外一个邻居又来 and brought out his rifle. Now we could have said gun, but a rifle is a gun. So 来福枪. Okay, 来福枪. That's interesting that it even sounds like the English. And he brought out his gun, and what did he do with the gun? Of course, he shot the alligator, killed the alligator. Okay, so let's go on. The doctors stitched up Johnny's leg wounds. Okay, to stitch up, 它就缝合. Of course, because the alligator with these big teeth, is grabbing onto his legs. So I'm sure 它有不少的伤口, wounds, So I'm sure that he was bleeding. I'm sure it wasn't a very nice situation. The doctors stitched up Johnny's wounds, 他的伤口. But they also stitched up several deep scratches on his arms. Now this is interesting because we think on his arms, okay, on his arms, 他有一些 several deep scratches, 抓痕, okay? So these are the scratches. Why? Because the ladies, the mommy and her friend, were pulling on their arms, and so they scratched. 有一些抓痕, so the doctors had to stitch that up too. 哇，那么用力. That's pretty heavy. I mean, it was 真正的是一个大的疤痕, a big tug of war. And so the scratches where mommy held on to him, 抓他, but mommy and the neighbor, of course. You actually have two people. In school, okay, so now we're in school. In school, the children wanted to see the stitches on his legs. Hey, this is so typical in school. And in school, the children wanted to see the stitches. Okay, what is a stitch? A stitch is 一针一个缝针. Okay, so you know when you say stitches, maybe I put this down. So you take a needle and you go like this. Okay, it's like this. Okay, 每一个缝针啊. So the children wanted to see the stitches on his legs. Of course, because that's where the alligator grabbed him. Okay? But Johnny wanted to show them the stitches on his arms. 这个也有一些缝针在他的手. So the children wanted to see the legs, and Johnny wanted to show them the stitches on his arms. Okay, now we're going to ask Mrs. Ash to come here. If we, yes, we stand here. We've got them. I'm taking my shirt off a little bit here. Now you can't see it, but I'll let Mrs. Ash explain something here. What do you see here?
It's a scar.
It's a scar.
A long scar.
A long scar. And when I was a kid, as a child, 小孩子的时候, I was maybe 有一点调皮. I was a good kid. I promise I was a good kid. But sometimes I did things, and I got in trouble one day, and I broke my arm. I broke it. 这个骨折. And eventually, 这个最终they had to cut and they had to put me back together. So 他们真的是要开刀才能够弄得好. So I have today, you can't see it, but I have a scar here. And how many do I have? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, maybe 15 缝针. So I have 15 of these things. And I still remember as children, we like to say, well, how many stitches did you have? 你有多少个？
Yeah.
我有多少个？ So the children, they want to say, I had more than you. I did. I had more than you. Children have this curiosity and so on. Okay, now, one of the things that we need to talk about is this last sentence, okay, which says, the children wanted to see what?
The stitches on the leg.
The children wanted to see the stitches on his legs because he was attacked. 被这个鳄鱼攻击. No, this is what children are thinking, right?
Of course.
This is what they say, whoa.
Scary.
Whoa, it's scary. 很可怕.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But Johnny wanted to show something else.
The stitches on his arm.
The stitches on his arm. And then I ended up with, I wonder why. I wonder why. 我就想，为什么? So you tell me, we got just 10 seconds here. You tell me, why did he want to show the scars on his arms?
Well, his mother's deep love for him,
母亲的爱, right.
willing to scratch.
Yeah, you're willing to scratch
Hold
you
on,
and pull
yeah.
and hold
Hard.
on.
Yes.
Wow, that's quite some story,
Yes,
isn't
it
it?
is.
It is. But it's really very true to life, too.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's take a look at our email address. Our email address is the old principal Lao Xiaozhang at gmail.com. And we do have a website. The website is www.theoldprinciple.org. With that, you know what? We have enjoyed spending a little time with you, talking about a mother's love, and you'll want to join us next time because we'll have something else interesting to share.
Right.
Bye-bye for now.
Bye.